As the plane ascended into the sky, the flight attendant returned to Stephanie's seat. Her expression revealed a mix of concern and apprehension. "Ma'am, I've spoken with the captain and we've come up with a solution," she began, her voice steadier than before. "We'd like to offer you an upgrade to the private jet section of the plane. It's a smaller, more exclusive cabin that we believe will provide the comfort and service you're accustomed to." Stephanie regarded her with calm skepticism. "And what about the other first-class passengers? Are they being offered the same upgrade?" The attendant hesitated, her gaze flickering nervously. "Well, no, ma'am. The private jet upgrade is only being offered to you." Stephanie's brow furrowed as she processed the words. "So, let me get this straight. You're asking me, a first-class passenger, to voluntarily move to a different, more exclusive cabin while the other passengers in this cabin remain in their seats?" The attendant nodded apologetically. "Yes, ma'am. We believe this is the best solution given the circumstances." Stephanie shook her head, her lips pressing into a thin line. "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to accept your offer. I've already made it clear. I have no intention of moving from this seat, and I stand by that decision." The attendant's eyes widened. She opened her mouth to respond, but Stephanie raised a hand to stop her. "Furthermore," Stephanie continued, her voice unwavering, "I believe this request is being made due to my race and my status as a black woman. I've experienced this kind of treatment before, and I won't stand for it. If there's a legitimate, non-discriminatory reason for asking me to move, I'm willing to listen. But if this is simply a case of singling me out because of the color of my skin, I'll take this matter up with airline management and the authorities." The attendant's face fell and she seemed to shrink under the weight of Stephanie's words. "Ma'am, I can assure you this has nothing to do with your race or status. We're simply trying to accommodate all our passengers to the best of our ability." Stephanie leaned back in her seat, folding her arms. "I'm not convinced. If this were truly about accommodating everyone, you'd ask all the first-class passengers to volunteer, not just me. Instead, you're singling me out, and I won't stand for it." The attendant opened her mouth again, but Stephanie cut her off. "I want to speak to the captain now." The attendant hesitated before nodding. "Of course, ma'am. I'll let the captain know you'd like to speak with him." As the attendant hurried away, Stephanie felt a surge of resolve. She was determined to get to the bottom of this situation and ensure no one else would endure such treatment. Stephanie was well aware of the power dynamics at play. After a few moments, the captain, a seasoned and well-respected pilot, approached her seat. He greeted her with a warm smile, his expression conveying genuine concern. "Good morning, Miss Wilson," the captain said, his voice calm and measured. "I understand there's been a situation. The flight attendant informed me that you've been asked to move to a different seat and you declined. I'd like to understand your perspective and see if we can find a resolution." Stephanie nodded, her gaze steady and unwavering. "Good morning, Captain. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. As I've already made clear to the flight attendant, I have no intention of moving from this seat. I'm a loyal and frequent flyer with this airline, and I've never been asked to downgrade my seat in this manner before." The captain listened intently, his brow furrowing in contemplation. "I see. Could you help me understand why you feel this way? Is there a specific reason you're opposed to the request?" Stephanie took a deep breath, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Captain, I believe this request is being made due to my race and my status as a black woman. I've experienced this kind of treatment before, being singled out and asked to make accommodations that others are not being asked to make." The captain's expression shifted, and he nodded slowly. "I understand your concerns, Miss Wilson. Let me assure you this is not a matter of discrimination or bias. We simply have more first-class passengers than we anticipated and are trying to find the best solution for everyone." Stephanie shook her head, her lips pressing into a thin line. "With all due respect, Captain, I'm not convinced. If this were truly about accommodating everyone, you'd ask all the first-class passengers to volunteer, not just me. Instead, I'm being singled out, and that's simply unacceptable." The captain hesitated for a moment, his expression more serious now. "Miss Wilson, I'm afraid there's something I need to share with you that may shed some light on this situation." Stephanie raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Go on, Captain." Clearing his throat, the captain met her gaze with newfound gravity. "Miss Wilson, you're one of the airline's largest individual investors. Our records show that you hold a significant number of shares in the company, and we consider you a highly valued customer and partner." Stephanie's eyes widened, a rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I'm sorry, but I don't understand. If I'm such a valued customer and investor, then why was I being asked to move to the economy section?" The captain's expression shifted to one of genuine remorse. "Miss Wilson, I can assure you this request had nothing to do with your race or status as a customer. The flight attendant who approached you was simply unaware of your importance to the company. As soon as I was informed, I knew we needed to find a better solution." A mix of relief, anger, and vindication washed over Stephanie. She had suspected there was more to the story and was determined to get to the bottom of it. "Captain, I appreciate your honesty, but I have to say that I'm deeply troubled by how this situation was handled," she said, her voice firm but measured. "I'm not just a customer. I'm one of your most significant investors, and I expect to be treated with the utmost respect and care." The captain nodded, his expression contrite. "You're absolutely right, Miss Wilson. This incident is unacceptable, and I assure you we'll take immediate steps to address the issue and ensure it never happens again. Please, let me make it up to you by offering a private jet upgrade for the remainder of your journey. It's the least we can do." Stephanie considered his offer, her mind racing with the implications of what had transpired. She knew this was an opportunity to drive real change, not just for herself, but for others who had faced similar treatment. "Captain, I appreciate the offer, but I won't accept it," Stephanie said, her voice unwavering. "Instead, I'd like a meeting with the airline's CEO and senior executives to discuss this issue and what can be done to prevent it from happening again." The captain nodded, respect evident in his expression. "Of course, Miss Wilson, I'll make the necessary arrangements immediately. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. It's clear we have more work to do to ensure all passengers are treated with the respect and care they deserve." As the plane continued its ascent, Stephanie felt a swirl of emotions, relief that the situation was being addressed, but also frustration over its implications. Despite the captain's quick response, the deeper issues remained clear to her. This wasn't just about her, it was about the systemic biases and inequities that permeated the industry. With a deep breath, Stephanie leaned back in her seat, her gaze fixed on the horizon. She knew this was just the beginning of a much larger battle, but she was more than ready to take it on. Stephanie knew that holding the leadership accountable was key to ensuring progress. Alongside the mandatory training program, she championed the creation of a customer feedback system that prioritized addressing incidents of racial bias and discrimination. She emphasized the importance of giving passengers a voice. "We need to create an environment where our customers feel heard and respected," Stephanie explained during a meeting. "By making it easier for them to report incidents of bias or discrimination, we can identify patterns and take swift action." The executives agreed, and within months, the new feedback system was operational. The results were immediate. Several incidents were reported and addressed promptly, signaling a shift in how the airline handled these concerns. Stephanie didn't stop there. She urged the airline to expand its efforts beyond customer-facing interactions, recognizing that true change required addressing diversity and inclusion at every level of the organization. The airline's commitment didn't go unnoticed, and Stephanie's story became an inspiration for both passengers and industry leaders. Hailed as a trailblazer, Stephanie's determination challenged the status quo. She reflected on her journey with a sense of pride but remained focused on the road ahead. After landing, Stephanie was met by a team of airline representatives who escorted her to a private VIP lounge. Inside, the airline's CEO and senior executives awaited her arrival, their expressions a mix of unease and determination. "Miss Wilson, thank you for meeting with us," began the CEO, his voice earnest. "On behalf of the airline, I sincerely apologize for the incident on your flight. It's clear we failed to uphold the standards of service and respect we strive for." Stephanie's gaze remained steady. "Thank you, Mr. Callahan. I appreciate your willingness to address this issue. However, this is about more than what happened to me. It's about the countless passengers, particularly from marginalized communities who've experienced similar treatment. I'm here to ensure meaningful, lasting change. The CEO nodded solemnly. You're absolutely right, Ms. Wilson. We'll be taking immediate action to address these issues. Our first step is a comprehensive review of our training protocols and customer service policies. We'll also implement oversight mechanisms to ensure accountability. Relief washed over Stephanie, but she maintained her resolve. I'll be monitoring the progress of these changes closely. I expect tangible results within 6 months, she said firmly. You have my word, the CEO replied. We'll keep you updated on our progress and welcome your guidance as we work toward creating a more inclusive and equitable environment. As the meeting concluded, Stephanie felt a sense of satisfaction. She knew the real work was just beginning, but she was ready for the challenges ahead. This wasn't just about her, it was about driving change for everyone who had endured similar treatment. Stephanie's determination ignited a broader conversation within the airline industry. Passengers, employees, and leaders began sharing their stories, shining a light on systemic issues. Among them was Amara, a prominent travel influencer who recounted her own experiences of bias. When I heard Stephanie's story, I felt like I was reliving my own, Amara said. Being singled out and treated unfairly is demoralizing and unacceptable. These stories galvanized support for the changes Stephanie and the Diversity Board were championing. With her guidance, the airline doubled down on its efforts, expanding employee training, improving customer engagement, and promoting diversity within its leadership. The impact was swift and significant. Customer satisfaction improved as passengers felt more respected, and the workforce became more inclusive, reflecting the communities the airline served. Stephanie's influence extended beyond the airline, positioning her as a respected voice in the broader fight for equity and inclusion across industries. The work we've done is just the beginning, Stephanie shared in a public forum. There's still so much more to accomplish, not just in aviation, but across every sector. Together, we can challenge the status quo and create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Stephanie's unwavering commitment became a beacon of hope, proving that one determined individual could drive meaningful change. Her legacy wasn't just about her triumph, but about a movement toward equality and inclusion that would ripple far beyond her industry.